there has been a question in Uganda of corruption, as to whether corruption can be overcome or as to whether corruption can be ended in Uganda. This is a question that has been asked for decades, and there are very many factors as to why corruption has persisted in our country, in Uganda, and actually Africa at large. And maybe we are going to look at some of these factors, some of these issues, and we see if we can, in one way or the other, try to advise the government or the officials of the government. In one way or the other, they can pick a leaf, and maybe the corruption can reduce. A few days ago, we all saw the son of the president, His Excellency Museveni, probing stopping the Speaker of Parliament, Anita Annet Among, from contesting again for her second term as Speaker of Parliament of Uganda on allegations of corruption. Anita Annet Among has been severally accused of acts of corruption, but the President of the Republic of Uganda always played a dead, we call it a blind eye and a deaf ear. He has always pretended not hearing whether Anita Annet Among is corrupt or not. Yes, Anita Annet Among has been misusing the public funds for a very long time. He has been donating the public money to everybody he wants, in consolidating herself in that position. I will not actually focus on much of whether she was bribing people for maybe a future political position. That one I'm not sure, like how it has been speculated. But what I know is that many members of parliament were protecting her and defending her for her good heart of giving them money that is not accounted for. Yes, you might have a good heart, which is not bad, which is okay, and you give money, which is also okay, but it depends on what money, whose money are you giving or donating in that way. However much you are donating government money to poor people, but if it is not accounted for, then it is a crime. It is wrong, because it amounts to an act of corruption. It also depends the motivation, the motive, the intention. Why are you giving this money? Why are you donating this money? So now, rumors have it that she has been consolidating herself with the members of parliament to secure her second term in parliament as the speaker of this parliament. Now, where did the problem come from? The problem mostly came from the new Rolls-Royce vehicle she bought from the West, and this is one of the most expensive vehicles that anybody would love to drive. But your dream of driving this vehicle must emanate from your sweats. You must work for this money genuinely, and you buy this this glittering and expensive vehicle. Now, this is where the old problems of Anita Annet Among started from. Of course, there have been rumors, but the other year there was a rumor that he had bought a house in the West again, I think in the UK, and she denied the allegations. The President of the Republic of Uganda summoned her to defend herself. I don't know what happened or how the matter was resolved, but she was also sanctioned. I don't know whether the sanctions are still standing, but I remember there were sanctions against her, and she could not travel to the West because of those sanctions accusing her of being corrupt. But again, Anita Annet Among is not the only corrupt person in Uganda. Most of, I may give a roundup figure of 90% of the entire government of Uganda, including ministerial positions, members of parliament, local government officials, and some government institutions like health, hospitals, schools, as I'm speaking. They are every official who is in charge of leading that particular institution is corrupt. When we go to army, there have been also allegations of corruption. When you go to police, that one is the masterminder of corruption, and those ones really commit offenses of corruption every hour, every minute in the police forces of Uganda. Now, how can we end this corruption? That would be the biggest question, because I don't believe that General Mhoz, by coming in the way, or by stopping Anita Annet Among to contest for member of parliament, for Speaker of Parliament, again would stop corruption in Uganda, because one, the assets she achieved from corruption are still in her hands. There is no any asset that maybe has been freezed, apart from maybe the vehicles which were taken. Probably, I believe, few months from now, you will hear those vehicles have been cleared back to her, and the situation, the story will also die like that. I believe that the issue of corruption is bigger than we view it, and is bigger than how General Mhoz is actually trying to do it. The issue of corruption begins from this is an educational video. Yeah, so don't take me in bad faith. It's an educational video for academic purposes and for correction of our country's mistakes. I believe the issue of corruption begins from the nature of governance of our president, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Yes, we cannot disregard the fact that President Museveni has achieved a lot of things for the country, and he has led well. But again, the issue of corruption has failed to be controlled because of the nature of his politics, the nature of his governance. He played an appeasement policy, like how we have been reading in the history of the world, that the appeasement policy failed many governments in the past. And now in Museveni's government, the appeasement policy originated from the bush when they were fighting, because he had to make sure he makes a lot of promises to the leaders of these societies, to the different people, different political figures of those days, and also the people he fought with. He made a lot of promises to them. Those ones who had education, who had acquired education, and even those who had not acquired education but played a critical role. Later on, they went back and acquired education after the war, and he secured them positions. Now, that is where all problems starts from. Now, the promises he made began right away from the kingdoms of Uganda, the kingdom of Toro. I don't know other kingdoms. Probably they could have also made got promises, because remember all these kings, after the abolition of kingdoms by Milton Obote in 1966, yeah, I think in 1966, when Obote overthrew the first president, President Mutesa, who was also doubling as the Kabaka of Uganda, I think 1966 or 1967. Now, after abolishing these kingdoms, these kings were sent into exile. Now, when Museveni went to the bush, he made sure he convinces these kings who were in exile to come and give motivational spirit, or in speeches, in in the bush, so that these fighters could get the morale. So we saw the likes of His Majesty Ronald Mwenda Mutebi, the King of Uganda. Also rumors were heard that the King Kaboyo, or Patrick Olimi Kaboyo, was also seen motivating those from that end. So he promised that if I win this war, I will bring back, restore your kingdoms. Now, remember, these kingdoms have officials, have people, and so on and so forth. Now, leave that aside. The people he fought with also were given promises. Now, shortly after, these people captured the government. They started now assuming power. They were given different offices. Some of them didn't have even any experience in the administration. But anyway, later on, they came learning and learning. But now the issue is about corruption. When these officers, or when these government officials, whom he came with from the bush, were accused of corruption, most of them were given a blind eye and a deaf ear by His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda. Reason being, they were his old friends. He fought with them, and some of them, if they were not old friends, they are children of those old friends. So, appeasing those old friends so that they don't start condemning him, so that they don't start maybe waging war against him, or this and that, disagreeing with him. So he decides to leave these people, even when he knows that they have stolen government money. He keeps them in government and in office, yet knowing that they are corrupt. Because if he takes any action against them, I assure you, he would lose popularity in the eyes of those people. And remember, those people also have a bigger following. So, it is the same that has been happening with Anita Annet Among, because Anita Annet Among has been a good mobilizer for the ruling party, NRM. So, whenever the allegations of corruption could come, he could keep quiet, because he knows the woman is still doing a good job. We don't know what exactly happened to the last minute to see that Anita Annet Among was intercepted or set aside for investigations. So we shall come to know. But if General Muhoozi and President Museveni would love to end this matter of corruption, he must completely stop practicing or promoting the issue, the nature of appeasement policy. Let everybody stand on himself, on merit, on his own merit. That is how the corruption will end. And also, if someone is accused of corruption, let that person go through a thorough investigation as provided by the law of Uganda and by the legitimate authority, so that this issue can be really put to light. Now, at the moment, I don't think what General Muhoozi is doing can bear any fruits, when there are very many people we know very well in government that are corrupt, but they are covered and nothing is going on, because they are friends of the regime. They are the establishers of the regime. All they are the children of the establishers of the regime. All they are abebitibwa, abateketeke. They are people from different kingdoms, and then these people think, the government thinks that since this one has a follow-up or followers from the kingdom, so I don't want to annoy the kingdom, so let me leave this person to continue stealing or mismanaging the public fund. So we call upon the government of Uganda, His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda, President Museveni, or anybody who will succeed him, because we don't know. Anytime he might leave power. So anybody who comes into power must employ or appoint people at their own merit. You should not follow that this is the son of so and so, this is my relative, this is my friend, this one my old friend, we fought together. Their corruption can never end. And also, let us strengthen the institution of police, the institution of military, the institution of public service, the institution of Judicial Service Commission, the legislative, and the finance ministry. Let these offices be accountable for God and the country.